Here today with Chip Darden of your Lubbock Cooper Pirates. How are you doing today, Coach?
Hey, we're doing well. Appreciate you having me. Always feel honored to be on with you.
Well, thank you, Coach. So we're in the spring, so you guys aren't busy at all. There's about a million sports going on, and uh, coordinating with for the end of the school year and all that stuff going on. But that means your kids are out there participating in other sports. They're in your weight room. You're seeing them in your version of spring practice. So how's it going in the spring?
Yeah, it's been good. It's funny you mentioned that. I tell people quite often, one of the things that I say is I feel like when the season ends, you in your mind, I do it every single year. Okay, I'm gonna take a breath, be able to kind of recoup and re-energize. And shoot, it's busier in the spring. I feel like once the season's over, we get busier. But like you said, it's good. We've got kids that are successful doing things. We had a great track season, and baseball still rolling. Got playoffs going on this weekend, and obviously I could go through every sport, but we got a lot of kids doing multiple sports, which is exactly what we want. So it's been really good. We got spring ball started last week. We kind of let most of those sports wind down before we get into spring ball. That way they're not having to miss one or the other. And been a good start to that, but just proud of our kids, how they're competing and doing a lot of different things for us in the spring.
Now, you said, and that's what we want, which is exactly what college coaches want to see is multiple. But why is it that a kid that you know his path's going to be football, and not everybody plays football, do we know their path's going to be football? But when you know a kid's path's going to be football, why is it good for them to compete in other sports?
Well, for there's several reasons, but I think we like, and the phrase that we use, we like them to compete with the LCP on their chest. We want them to. Yes, there's going to be basketball players are going to play AAU ball, and we've got some kids that play on some 7-on-7 teams, and sure, we want them to do all that. We want them to work on that individual sports that with different people, but we think it's important for them to compete for their school year round, and we think that just helps the school vibe. We think it helps everybody, and to me, when we don't want to be a school that's just good at football or just good at baseball. We want to be good at all of it, and we think our best athletes need to be doing all of it. So I think that's a lot of it. And then I think other sports, as I look at it directly related to football, I think getting in other sports gets them out of their comfort zone sometimes. I think track's a perfect example of that. Like, we want guys running track to get faster, but I also like them to get out there and maybe get beat. And maybe it's somebody that is really good in football, has offers, has all that, and they go out there and throw the shot or run the 100 and get beat, and there's no excuses. It's you can't blame anybody else, and I just think that's good for the mentality. It teaches kids how to handle that, how to just be in uncomfortable situations, I guess.
Now you talked about the sense of school and sense of community, but some people may not know, but you're in a situation where there's about to be a second school open in the school district. What kind of an impact do you think that's going to have on Lubbock Cooper?
Yeah, I want to say minimal, but I don't want to, I guess, dismiss some of the kids that will go to that school that would have come here. We sure will miss them, and there's some longtime families that I've coached older brothers, and they'll go to the new school, the Liberty High School, and you'll miss being around them and miss them being a part of this program. But I don't think I think the culture, our administration has done a good job of that the culture of our school district, it needs to stay, whether it's Lubbock Cooper High School or Liberty. And so I think that's going to stay the same, and that's the most important part. And I think there'll be, there's going to be, we're going to have to adapt a little bit. And I think there's going to be part of that. We're going to have less kids than we've had in a while, especially at our younger levels. And we're just going to have to adapt how we do things. And that's okay. Probably good for us right now that we don't get into a rut on, hey, this, the old This is how we do it. It's how we've always done it. It's going to keep us from doing that. We're gonna adapt a little bit, but I think it would be maybe ignorant for me to say it's not going to affect us at all. I mean, it is. We're gonna be playing 5A Division I next year with not 5A Division I numbers, especially our freshman and sophomore levels. So it'll affect us a little bit. We're just going to have to do a good job as a coaching staff and as a school on adapting how we do things.
All right. So if you don't mind, kind of walk me through who you've got coming back, the roles they're going to play, and who you don't have coming back, and who might step into those roles.
Yeah, I think the biggest coming back, and I typically start with defense. That's just kind of the philosophy that we've got. We want to play defense, and we believe that winning football starts on defense. And I think we've got a chance of being pretty good on defense. We lost some really good players. I mean, I think all four of our defensive linemen starters were seniors, but we also might be a little bit bigger and might have a little more depth on the defensive line. And then, linebackers, we've got some experience. We lost a captain and a really good player, but some guys that are returning that played a lot of football for us last year in different roles. And then same back end guys, got some experience back there as well. And, I don't want to mention too many players because I know I'll forget some as far as returners, but Cal Ritz is one. He's a safety for us. He'll play a little offense as well, and he's a returner. He's a 3-year starter. Had a really good track season. Went under 10.5 in the 100 3 times, and just a really athletic and just great football player. So he'll play some safety. We'll move him around quite a bit, but just that experience will help. And then a kid like Chris Carrillo, who plays inside linebacker, he might play some edge defensive end for us as well. And, to me, I like having, you got a guy on the back end, you got a guy on the defensive line returning that have played 3 years of varsity football. I think that's a great place to start. Offensively, the noticeable, I think, loss is up front. We had 4 of our 5 offensive linemen were seniors, and all 4 of them had scholarship offers to play college football. 3 of them decided to do it. And so that's tough. It was a really good offensive line, but I've really liked our young kids, and Holton Hendricks is one that is a returner. He's committed to play at Texas Tech and has been, I think he's taken a leadership role so far this spring. And I think having somebody that knows it, that's again, kind of the same theme. This is his 3rd year on varsity. He's been through it. He knows how to play big boy football. And I think that'll help with some of the young kids coming through. And then we've got some skilled guys that have played a little bit. Jackson Austin is one that we kind of will move around, running back, slot receiver, play a little bit of everything. Jaden Kennard kind of had his breakout game, our last game of the year, rushed for over 100 yards against Toledo. And I think he's same role. We're going to have him in the backfield, have him playing in the slot a little bit as well. But we feel good about it. We got to be good up front. I mean, again, going back to what I said about defense. Kind of our two things that we think winning football is playing defense and running the football. So, and that's not a secret to anybody that we play. That's kind of what we do. And so we're going to have to get good up front and make sure that we kind of can keep that identity, because we think that's winning football.
All right. So now let's go a little big picture here. You've been around athletics at the high school level for a few years. So what would you say the biggest challenge facing Texas high school athletics right now is?
That's a broad question that could be answered a lot of ways. I'm not going to say, like, I think there's stuff that's coming down the line, whether it be NIL, whether it be, the vouchers, there's a lot of stuff that could happen in the future that I think would definitely be number one. But I honestly think it's, and it maybe is the old man in me, but I just think social media in general, I think it is hard. I don't know that I'd have been able, I don't know about you, but I don't know that I would have been able to get through high school in the social media age. I mean, I think my high school graduation present was a cell phone. That was the first cell phone I ever got. It was when I graduated high school. So I don't know that I could have done it the way our kids do, but I just think it makes everything in high school athletics tough. There's the side, if you're not vocal and not present on social media, you can't get recruited. Well, then you can be too vocal and do too much on social media. And I think that it creates a lot of decisions that are just tough that a 16-year-old kid doesn't need to be making. And to me, that's maybe the biggest thing that I would say. I don't know if that's along the lines of the answer that you wanted.
It's your impression. It's what you say. It's not what I say. But talking more about the social media. When I hear college coaches talk, I never hear them talk about, yeah, we noticed this kid because of his presence on social media. I do hear them say, we check everything. And if we see something that's out of character, then that's a black flag. So the social media is more likely to get you blacklisted than it is anything else. So what do you do within your program to educate your kids on the dangers that are there as far as their athletic careers go?
Yeah, we try. I think we do a good job. Our coaches, it's funny, the progression of this. Like there was a point that I remember, and I don't know how many years ago it was, 10 years or so, when all this is starting to come out. And I can remember we told our kids, don't do it. Don't get on social media. Don't do. Well, obviously we had to adapt and grow with how it is. And I think a lot of it is our coaches are on it, our coaches see it. And I think we're constantly communicating. We try to not do this every single year just because we don't want to beat them down with certain stuff, but we try to train them about once every 3 years. And whether that's bringing in, like we've brought in an outside person to come kind of talk to them about some of that stuff. We try to show them different things, kind of like you're talking about, where we see or hear of college coaches that don't want to recruit kids because of it. So we just try to educate them throughout the year. And then, at least once, maybe twice while they're in high school, they get somebody other than us coaches talking to them about it. Somebody that has real world experience with it, that maybe is an expert in it, can tell them how to use it. And that's ultimately what we want. We want them to use it to benefit them the best. And because they're going to use it, they need to. It's part of our world today. So they just need to use it wisely, and that's what we try to teach them.
All right, so let's go from big picture to small pictures. Try to learn a little bit about Chip Darden. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Are you trying to lose like followers and listeners they don't want to know about me now. They want to know about football. I would, number one, man, that's kind of tough. I would say I'm a ice cream maybe is my go-to, and that's kind of me and my son, my oldest son. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is 6, and that's kind of our deal. We'll sneak ice cream when mama's not looking and have us a little extra, and and then I'll wonder to her, I don't know why I'm not losing any weight, but we make sure and get that ice cream, man.
It's hard not to be that way in Texas with Blue Beller, huh?
I know, that's exactly right. That pralines and cream, that gets me every time.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you wrap up the school year and go into the 2023 season.
I appreciate you having me. Go Pirates.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.